In the bottom left side, we have the home team player, the Alpha Xer. Right now, in Korea as well, it is Astrea. The lovely Protoss. Top right side, his opponent for today. It is none other than the Red Terran from Dragon Phoenix Gaming. It is Cure. It's the regular dragon against the Phoenix Dragon. Dragon Phoenix. Would a Dragon Phoenix be the same as a Phoenix Dragon? Probably not. Probably not. Anyway, yeah, I'm quite ecstatic about Astrea being in Korea once again. He is a very fine player after all. A player that has proven to be on top of the scene in his hometown of America, the United States areas. But, you know, he still has some tough competition there. He's not there consistently, right? But he has proven he is one of those favorites to just win the crown there. For him to travel over across to the Korean scene and see how that matches up is always very fun to see. In particular, I think Astrea, the last time he went, like I said before, looked like quite an uptick in his overall skills, which makes sense. Just not only having the Koreans to play against, I feel like there might be just more very, very high level players there, but at the same time it's just having different players, you know, meeting different players on the ladders and stuff like that. Your practice is gonna involve all sorts of different strategies all of a sudden, and well, a wider array of practice is something that I feel like is benefiting Astrea a lot, because he's one of these players that likes to figure things out. And the more that he is familiar with every situation in StarCraft 2, I feel like he is just a player that's going to keep growing in that sense. Keep learning, keep adapting, keep sharpening his own spear until it is ready to go through anyone. That being said, he's going up against Cure. So Cure, a very tough opponent. One of the very finest Terrans in Korea. And a victory here will not be coming cheap, as we already have 2 Hellions being constructed. The Adept would love to see this, of course, those popping out of the factory. See if he gets that opportunity here. Already this is showcasing a little bit of a aggressive play potentially coming in, right? You're not quite sure as the Protoss whether it be the Hellions or the Widowmines now. The 2 Hellions showing themselves, trying to clear out the Adepts. That does give it away a little bit, of course. Ooh, is he gonna go in? Oh, okay. Playing it safe. Just denying mining at the natural, trying to delay these Hellions from doing anything. He did lose one of the Adepts. Gets only 1 Marine so far for the price of it. And then I'm pretty sure his Shade also saw those 2 Widowmines. So Cure going for opening up with the 2 Hellions and then, you know, keeping those alive as well. Repairing them a little bit. Putting on a new paint job. Straight up into Widowmines afterwards. We will have 4 of them. And a medevac ready to carry all of them as well. There we go. Astrea went for a Phoenix approach. A very clever way to try and combat the aggressive opening here, showcased by Cure. Cure going with a Cyclone. Could be very worthwhile having. First Widowmines. Looks like we may have ourselves some connections. 5 probes. You know what? That is not great for Astrea, but for 4 Widowmines, 5 probes. I guess that is still quite minimal. On top of that, he does manage to get most of these. He gets actually he gets pretty much everything. The Hellions, though, are still a threat. Looks like they were forgotten about for just a second. That could come to harm him now with 3 more probes. Actually, make that 4 going down. So, all of a sudden, 9 probes in total have gone down. That is become quite a quite a more significant number for Astrea's economy. I actually struggle here a little bit now. There's 2 Cyclones available with a Raven and a good chunk of Marines here. So very difficult for Astrea's air army here right now to do too much. Gonna be difficult to accomplish much of anything here, I would say. There's even missile turrets set up. Pretty much everything you would hope for as the Terran. Being said, that is still a admirable amount of Phoenix. If a Cyclone does run off away from the herd, that could still be picked off by the Phoenix collapsing in on it. Some lock-ons not really finding enormous connections there. But they do put the fear of God in those Phoenix, that is for sure. Still producing more of them. Interesting thing, kind of in a way, is seeing that he is aware of this bioforce accumulating. Most likely will result in some sort of a push with a lot of Marines. And those, well, he does have the charge coming up. He will have the Phoenix ready to jump in as well. So retreat will be a very difficult thing to do here for Cure, but cleaning this army up might be a difficult thing to do for Astrea as well. Those Phoenix are coming in from the top. What's this army actually? Is it looking to engage anything at all? Clever placed Widow Mine, just almost missing its mark. Astrea just barely pulling away from that one in the nick of time, and kind of had a fortune to just barely not go over the path of the Widow Mine entirely. Just kind of teasing that Widow Mine. Setting up the Phoenix at this moment. Ooh, a massive anti-armor missile. This could mean a lot of trouble here for Astrea. That is no longer really the amount of zealots you would need for a engagement such as this, especially with all those Widow Mines there. Trying to set those off before he goes in. There's still one more Widow Mine remaining, as well as an enormous amount of the infantry. Anti-armor missile gone now. The Phoenix have been busy picking off reinforcements. Not much else has been making it to the front lines. So Cure decides to back up and try to get himself away from there. More zealots running into the Widow Mines here to rid the world of those units. Oh, that would have been a very nice catch. A status ward almost catching quite a couple of those units. I'm not sure if that Raven had full vision of it. It looked like he may not have, because I'm imagining some of those units would have started attacking it. Nasty Widow Mine, okay. Oracle is here. Still alive, barely. Can still use that Revelation ability onto the bio. As he is starting to prep Zealot run-bys also. From 2 areas. Oh my, is this a fight you want to take here, Astrea? Not really being able to get down that ramp in time. Let's have the sentries there to kind of mitigate the advance, but there's still a 4th base to the left of it. Zealots finding quite a bit of success so far with those SCVs. Doesn't want to go any further. 4th base gets cancelled. So Zealots, that is a interesting setup right here from Astrea. Anti-armor missile on a good bunch of them, but here come the Zealots from the other side, and that is almost a full wraparound. Quite a nice engagement. Is it going to be enough here? Those Zealots starting to get quite low, but there's not that many bio units remaining anymore. It's mostly Marauders as well. And they don't deal that much damage to neither the Zealots nor the Phoenix. Astrea does clean up this army. He'd have to sacrifice the timing of his 4th base. Careful with those Widow Mines here, Astrea. Don't want to lose too many of those Zealots haphazardly. Gets the Raven, that's a big catch as well. Phoenix definitely giving a good fight so far. And just with the Zealots, seemingly quite the strong combination of units here. It's going to be enough. Economy game definitely now in favor for Astrea, but there is still a mighty army reassembled by Kjør, and that will have to be dealt with in another one of those clever ways Astrea can set up with. Hopefully with those Zealots somewhere. Because I'm not sure if that fight would have gone the way it did had Astrea not have those Zealots coming in from two angles. The Widow Mines would have been a much bigger threat. The bio would have been a lot easier to kite backwards with. And Astrea incredibly on top of getting rid of all those Widow Mines. It is more of that gorgeous macro that Kjør can provide though, shining on through. Once again, this army, something to be feared for the time being. Astrea's economic lead he kind of established there by getting a lot of SCV kills. Didn't really shine through yet. And that combined with him losing the fourth base yet again, does make me a little bit worried. As the overall worker count, only 6 ahead for Astrea for the time being. How is his efficiency on mining looking though? A little bit of an oversaturation there, so that worker advantage actually not helping him out too much for the time being. Both of these players are mining as much as they can, and the few SCV kills really not minimizing any of the mining going on right now. It could do, though, however, the mining for the future, as soon as one of these players actually manages to occupy a fourth base. Nice Widow Mine hit right there. Kjør willing to split up his army, now coming in from a different angle on the right side, seemingly unexpected, but from Astrea. Sends across the 4 Colossi, but the 4 Colossi now right on top of those Marauders, a little bit unprotected. And 2 Colossi quite quickly meet the ground. As Astrea sends too many of those units now across the other side. Will he finally be able to defend this 4th base? The Widow Mines dealing with the Zealots quite well indeed, and luckily the Colossi seemingly enough firepower for Kjør to reconsider his options here. Widow Mines continuously being spread across the map by Kjør yet still. Ooh, that would have been a nice catch, but Kjør's massive drop towards the main base does get subsided. Another attack, quite the setup of units right here, does get spotted a little bit earlier on, but yet again the army of Astrea does not seem capable of defending both these locations. The Zealot ball of units that he's continuously producing does seem to be dealt with a little bit two-handedly by the Widow Mine setups that Kjør is getting. A couple of times we saw a really nice pull away from Astrea, but then you realize, oh, that was not in fact the one Zealot that was being targeted, and yeah, most of those Zealots just keep getting softened up. Another attempt, here it comes. Another medevac into the main base, this time around, going unprotected. The Phoenix, nowhere to be seen. This is going to have to be dealt with by the ground army. And this, again, could provide more opportunities for Kjør. Kjør actually arriving with another squadron of medevacs in the natural base this time around. A lot of tech going down the High Templar archives. Kjør, he may have done it here. I'm starting to struggle to see a way for Astrea to still win this game right now. Regardless of being in a pretty good starting position, denying a lot of the aggression that Kjør was throwing at him at the start, the overall production and macro coming out of Kjør, staying alive on his 3 bases, Not taking too much damage, not overzealous on his own expanding. Looks like he's doing a great job overall. Actually, hold on the phone, guys. He doesn't have that 4th base yet, does he? He could fly over a command center, but his mining right now is actually a lot less than I had imagined. He may have 59 workers, but it is not helping him out that much, actually. So, the army here for Astrea, still pretty strong. It's still very strong. This could actually still go into Astrea's favor if he manages to utilize these units as efficiently as you can. Setting off these 2 widow mines. There we go. Alright, we'll be able to deny this base. There's not that much mining going on any longer. This base a much more vital one. Astrea needs to make something happen right here, right now, though. I don't think he will be able to withstand Cure for very much longer if he backs up from here. He killed 15 SCVs. That's pretty solid. Widow mine over here. Getting some more probe kills. Zealots being sent in. I don't... Yeah, you can't let this go on into a later game, right? 18 workers versus 44, even if it is on one base. I mean, yeah, there's just 6 workers here. I guess there's 12 workers here. It's not as crazy just quite yet. You see the income advantage. A difference of 600. Playstyle of Astrea, though, definitely costing him a lot more in the mineral departments. Going for those massive waves of zealots. Oh dear, that is a big fight here. Yeah, just no longer had the money to replenish those zealots. No meat shield for the Colossi, and that means he will be going down. You're taking game number 1. So once again, we'll be looking for the strategies employed by Astrea. A little bit more so than from Cure. Cure is absolutely wonderful, but he's one of those Terrans you kind of want to look for if you're just trying to improve your Terran, right? He is so solid, he has a couple of builds he executes to a T, and yeah, that is just the player that he is. He innovates sometimes here and there, but I doubt we'll see a lot of innovative plays from him in this case. I think Astrea, a bit more the player where we might see some interesting little tweaks to the overall strategies, right? The normalized play, or the established meta that we're all familiar with. I suppose seeing big balls of zealots right now is a common, well, quite a common thing in the PvT matchup. It still kind of felt the way nice the way Astrea approached this, with the big blob of Phoenix in front of it. Felt very decisive with his actions as well, I should say. Kept the Phoenix in front, only to intercept the reinforcements. Doing a good job with that. At least for the first push. And I almost forgot that Cure did manage to get 9 workers with his, well, with his 4 Widow Mines and the 2 Hellions initially. Just the 5 workers from the 4 Widow Mines. For a moment you think like, alright, well this could go well for Astrea, but then those 2 Hellions came in, didn't they? And Cure was like, I'm not quite done yet, good sir. He roasts 5 more of your precious boys. Twilight Council gets scouted here. The Reaper jump pad. Curious to see what Astrea will be bringing in. Is it just going to be the blink play? It will be. Fair enough. Still a lot of possibilities with the blink play, of course. A very versatile attack to get initially. Be defensive, be aggressive, be all-in-ish if you really want to. Or just try to deny a base at some point in time. They are units that Astrea does love to play with. Cure. Opting once more to go for a looking to be Widow Mine drop. couple of Marines might be joining in the medevac here as well, as he's got himself the Hellion and Reaper duo at the front gates. Perhaps he doesn't think himself that he dealt enough damage with his previous aggression. The more committed assault of the Widowmine Hellion squad. Maybe slowing it down just a little bit here. And optimizing for a more economic route. There go the two Widowmines. How many Stalkers do we have available at the moment? It's only the 4 of them. There is a little bit of a robotics facility wall here, as well as the Adept. So the Hellion Reaper duo may have a bit of difficulty with running any further forwards into any other probe lines. Okay, this probe line is gonna get saved pretty well. 3 probes go down. There must have been another probe right here. Of course, actually 4 of them. That becomes 5. Should not be able to get a 6th, but that is still 5 workers. Not too shabby. Losing... well, actually, he did lose the medevac, the 2 Widowmines, and, well, everything, basically. We'll have to see whether or not that comes to haunt Cure later down the line. As we said, his aggression wasn't as committed as it was before. So it might still be okay. Raven in the main base as well. Astrea here, only with 4 Stalkers. Kind of keeping an eye on his opponent. Doesn't really want to poke him too much. As it looks like he is more preoccupied with establishing his economy on the 3rd base also. As getting his next tier tech. And the charge upgrade once again with the Colossi. Forgoing the Phoenix entirely. Cure opting to go for the siege tanks this time around. Could be helpful against the Colossi if you're still fighting them with the Widowmines. Actually, he's going back into Widowmine production. Well, it'll be fun to see how he does with this push right now. He's got the Raven, the 2 siege tanks, quite a couple of Marines. Make that a couple less. This is 4 Stalkers, already killing the 4 Marines, I think. 3 Marines. Medeffects will make that a bit more of a difficult job to do for those Stalkers, but he's going to keep trying. He's still here. And a unit that walks out a little bit too far forward will get sniped down, it looks like. So far, pretty good micro. Losing that Adept a bit needlessly. It's just the 1 Adept. Astrea. Hoping to find this army before it's set up in a precarious situation for him. They got quite a good... yeah, this is a pretty darn good position actually. The Zealots, a lot of charge going onto a Widowmine alone. A Widowmine there on the bottom left side, and now this is already quite a bit of trouble. It's not a location any longer that Astrea can afford to push into. Losing gateways, he's losing the other gateway as well. It's the Colossi being targeted by those siege tanks. Phoenix would not have been a horrible kind of unit to have in a situation like this. I guess the Colossi in the main base shuts down the invasion on that base, but on the 3rd base, look at that, there is yet another heavy Marine Marauder squadron. And yeah, they take down every single Colossi. Cure just on absolute fire right now. He is not gonna go down easy, or... well... yeah. Man. Astrea getting slaughtered in this one. Army supply is in the bin. 34 right now versus 71. The Valiant counterattacks. You gotta do something here with those zealots. Try to keep the Terran off your back. For the time being, it is a struggle for him. The Zealots having a good bit of luck against those Widow Mines. They won't be coming in to the fight. The Marauder having a good time against those... the Marauders having a good time against the Immortal. But there we go, yeah. GG is called. Astrea not managing to keep afloat game number 2. No points, just quite yet. The Protoss, he is the one and only Alpha X, Astrea. Really would love to see him get a victory here as well in the best of 7. Because right now, this Terran is showing his monstrous side once more. The red man himself, the Dragon Phoenix Gamers. Cure. So yeah. We all know that Cure is this much of a beast sometimes online, right? He's just so incredibly solid. The reason why he is winning these online cups as much is because... Maybe not because he's taking down Marus and Serals and world champions, you know. He is taking down anyone that isn't a world champion with a scary consistency. And that consistency is key in StarCraft 2. Right? Because it feels like the victories over those, the biggest of names are sometimes... revert a little bit more so than achievements such as, you know, the ones of Cure, where he is just so consistent in winning against the guys that aren't the world champions, you know. Sometimes a lot of places will be difficult. The first map, 2,000 atmospheres. Yes, sir, it was. Yes, sir, it was. Little Reaper. Going to the market. Not getting spotted by the Adept, it seems, so... Getting entry to the Protoss space. The stock is about to be ready, but this could lead into a probe kill or two. Oh, decides not to go for it. Opts to back out and save that Reaper for a rainy day. Bunker gets completed. Astrea still dives in here, trying to delay that command center. Can't quite achieve what he was trying there, but he still gets an SCV. So that is still a nice thing, keeping his probes alive on the other side of the map as well. Gets his Adept out. All right. Now, what are we seeing from Cure here this time around? It is going to be the triple racks. Alright. Alright. Maybe I wasn't giving enough credit to Cure earlier on. He is really bringing out a different build every single time. I'm pretty sure he drilled most of them as much as the each and every one of them. As Blink will be the play from Astrea at the moment. Cure. Well, we'll see how he matches up against that. No factory or anything of the sort just quite yet. Just pure Marine Marauder production. Getting himself the Stim Pack as well as Combat Shield. It's going to be a big beefy ball of units ready to shoot down gateway units. Astrea is going to have his hands full to try and micro his Stalkers to the maximum efficiency here. Even spending some of that sentry energy right now is quite the potential hazard. Just spending one force field trying to catch a Reaper, that could lead to him just barely not having enough here. Or not having anywhere near enough. That sentry though still kind of fulfilling a important job. He notifies the Stalkers to move back around. Not just run away towards the Terran entrance, because, well, the Terran is already at his entrance. In come the boys onto the probe line. This could be quite a deadly ensemble. Stalkers desperately trying to chase this, trying to stop these units from just rampaging through and destroying absolutely everything so far already. 13 units going down. Trying his best, more units of the Terran coming in at the front door, having a wonderful time killing most of those probes. 15 of them already have been exterminated. The third base for Astrea is of course available if he stabilizes here. Maybe that will help him get in somewhat of a more respectable place in this game, but right now it is a rough situation for him. He's going to be fighting against more and more bio units like that in the not too far distant future, and they're going to be supported by medevacs, it would appear. Kjær throws up his own third base at this time when he managed to claim the lead in the work account. And it looks like he managed to claim the lead in the income advantage there during all of that as well. Makes sense, because most of the probes of Astrea were running around trying to avoid bullet fire, so yeah. Little intermingling. Try to get what you can here, truly, Astrea. I mean, he definitely has to. Gotta be careful of the concussive shell right now. That has finished up. There is the staple adept. Did you see that Marauder rocket actually go from here to like over this and then over here and then it went onto the ground again? Silly things sometimes, isn't it? StarCraft 2. And they say Marauders can't hit air. If he can shoot like that, man, what is the problem? Is this the end? Is this the end of our Rhodos? For game number 3 at least. Pretty reasonable force fields, making it quite difficult for the bio to just run into the main base. Well, the natural base, I should say. One Colossus. Will that be enough to deter the Marines? I'm not convinced just quite yet. Sentries too low on energy to make something happen right now. Shield battery overcharge gets taken out. Astrea trying his best to target fire the big clump of Marines with the Colossus, but it's just a little bit too much. It's just a little bit too much. Once again, Kjær will be taking out 14 probes. And I don't think it's going to end there. I think he's going to take out the Nexus, and I think he will take out Astrea in the not too far distant future. Even still fighting here, it's not a good sign for Astrea. Kjær knows that more reinforcements of his is going to be coming in here. He's smelling blood and he will act on it. GG is called. Kjær takes game number 3 as well. You know, that first game, it did feel like there was a window there. There was a window of opportunity. Just those 2 little Hellions at the start making things a lot more difficult perhaps than they had to be. It does make you wonder what could have been if Astrea had managed to stop those 2 Hellions there as well. Together with the 4 Widow Mines. Because later in that game, when Kure made his push, it felt nowhere near as devastating as it has in the previous 2 games, you know? The previous 2 games, Kure just gets a little initial lead with his harassment, comes in with an army. The 2 siege tanks set up, or the Widow Mines just blob into the ground. Or the Marine Marauder Ball just kind of waddles forwards, and suddenly things go dark for the Blue Protoss. Because there is just not enough then at that time to get rid of that army, it would appear. It truly shows as well, like, how good some of these other Korean Protosses are. Sometimes making those assaults look a little bit silly, perhaps. 3 barracks in production. Astrea once more going for the Twilight Council build. Sending in that adept and getting a full scout on the Marine production here. I'll have to wait and see if he acts any differently now after game number 3. Because it is an opportunity where he will be fighting against almost exactly what he was fighting against in that previous game. If anyone can adjust on the fly, it may as well be Astrea. See, and then adjusting on the fly is what I mean with that is just tiny adjustments, trying be a bit more careful with that initial sentry's energy and its positioning, trying to keep an eye out on the other potential places where this big blob of bio might be. If he gets across the map a bit sooner with a couple of Stalkers, I would very much like that as well. Even if it is just the one, just that you know that the 2 base pushes coming can be so incredibly advantageous. If you see it move away from the natural base rather than, you know, showing up just a couple of steps away from your own natural base. Definitely have that opportunity here for Astrea. There's no Stimpak yet, nor is there Blink, but there is a ramp here. Those Stalkers doing a pretty good job so far. Keeping these bio units at a little bit of a bay. Ooh, careful Astrea! He just... oh, that is rough. That is rough. Apparently prioritizing something else there for a quick moment. Maybe not anticipating Kure to run up brazenly onto the ramp like that. That was a bit of a brave move, but it definitely did pay off. Astrea seemingly not anticipating this. Now on his own ramp, he is a bit more on top of the Blink Micro, doing a pretty good job, but it's just not enough Protoss units anymore to withhold this barrage. So probes will have to be pulled, and 9 of them go down in this case. Putting Kure once again solidly ahead in the economic game. Ball definitely in Kure's court. He is got it. He can play with it. He can do whatever he wants with it. With such a strong opening of the game. Stalkers once again reposition themselves at the front door. It is kind of what you have to do after all. You have to whittle this Terran army as much as you can. Oh, and coming in with the flank. The other units surprise the Stalkers, and once more a bunch of those blue 4-legged creatures die in the middle of the map. It's gotta be quite heartbreaking for Astrea here, but he is on his last leg. He will try to keep this going. Having a bit of a ensemble of Brodal's hero squadron here, hopefully. Well, they're gonna be enough. The units are getting incredibly low, but one more swipe. Ugh. That Marine. Was it this Marine? He is not the Marine that killed the Colossus, but oh well. One of his pals did, and that's all that matters. Now we're at 31 army supply versus 19. And we're rapidly approaching a situation, a point of no return here for Astrea. Gonna have to figure something out sooner rather than later. And it will have to be something ever so clever, or something where Cure kind of messes up, right? That is a possibility as well. A possibility? Well, a possibility. You know, flying 4 medevacs right over a ball of Stalkers would be fantastic right now for Astrea. That being said, does he have a ball of Stalkers? The man has 1 Stalker. Okay, he has 3 Stalkers now. Does know about the medevac movement as he's moving over to the main base, but the probes are still here. Didn't quite manage to get those Widow Mines onto the Bioforces to set off. And he gets the Bioforces out of his main base. Just coming back around, he's actually dropping in, taking out the Immortal. He's thinking to himself, you know what, let's just push him. Let's just keep killing Protoss units here. Keep that army supply of his below 30, right? That is all we need to do. One more attack. Colossus with shield battery overcharge right there. Does seem to be sufficient. An unfortunate Zealot warp in does get cured still a little bit of value out of that Widow Mine right there. But Cure giving away some value also with the medevacs. Taking the wrong route out of that area. Now Cure 77 workers versus 59. And then there's 63 army supply for Cure available over the 39 of Astrea. Once again, I reiterate, there has to be something good happening for Astrea here, and this is heartbreaking. That Warp Prism just barely inside, even that very unlikely now to do much of anything, unless if Cure just didn't notice for the entirety of that time. I think he did already. He's got himself a couple of Marauders there. Yes, Widow Mines. Are they going to set up on their own units? Not entirely. Recall, get all the men in this area. Really does feel just kind of trying to live right now for Astrea. Ooh, killing. That's another probe of his going down. There's an armory. Yeah, there is. So these Widow Mines even more difficult to get rid of right now. Dark Templars. Dark Templars. Alright. They definitely a solid choice. You know, you have to find some way to get something done. And it does get something done. It gets 7 kills right here. Oh, what Prism? Oh, man. More things going just a little bit wrong here for Astrea. The Warp Prism finds himself crossing paths with the Terran Bioforces. And, well, yeah, this is just a Final Destination movie for Astrea right now, I feel like. He's avoided death a couple of times, but death is coming. It keeps trying, keeps knocking on its door. Yeah, everything he tries to do is just like, nope, just not gonna happen. Fate intervenes. As well as Cure's almighty skill at the race of Terran. Coming in, slapping down some real fury here. Incredibly solid performance from him. Incredibly solid performance from our Korean Terran player here. was known as the Proto Slayer before. Perhaps he will reclaim that name after seeing this performance against Astrea. This was this was brutal. One disruptor shot at a time to clear out those Widow Mines. Astrea can't really afford spending a lot of money on anything else but disruptors. That means he has a rough time getting any free space outside of his base. And there it is. GG is called Cure to Supreme today. He is managed to beat this best of 7 within the hour.